It just sliced right next to my nose, through my lips, all the way to here.
That is how Chris Durbin looks today after his face was nearly cut off with a chainsaw, or with a saw rather. Details of his dramatic recovery coming up.
A cool head and quick action saves a worker's life after a construction accident.
The injury, he cut off half his face with a saw. News 4's health team reporter Lisa Manzo talks with the survivor and the people who helped rescue him.
Started out a normal day.
Chris Durbin has used a demolition saw hundreds of times. On June 29th, his saw kicked back, cutting off the right side of his face from his eye down through to his neck.
When I opened my mouth, this wasn't there. This skin, you know, it wasn't there. And that's when I realized something happened. I grabbed, my face was over here. And I looked down and I could see the blood, and I grabbed that blob of skin, which was my face, and kind of pulled it over and just went like this and jumped out of the ditch. First thing I thought about was my kids, getting the pictures. And if it was over, I was going to die with them in my hand.
Durbin kept his cool.
Well, I knew to put pressure.
And began first aid with the help of his co-workers.
And I was straddled over with his head being here and trying to hold pressure.
Paramedics arrived at something these veterans had never seen before.
There was a significant amount of blood loss, active bleeding. We were trying to follow protocols for this type of trauma that we weren't really able to do. Kind of just flew by the seat of our pants on this one.
Your adrenaline is going, and you're out there, and you're fighting to do everything you can in the amount of time that you have with them.
As paramedics arrived here at St. Louis University Hospital with Durbin, he was still awake and talking as they took him into the emergency room.
I remember coming through the doors. I remember looking up. I remember counting 13 people around me on one of these tables. I remember counting the heads. I remember taking my shoes off and telling the one guy to unlace them first because they're work boots.
Durbin had lost half of his blood before surgeons began piecing his face back together like parts of a puzzle.
It's amazing. Chris looks really as good as he does.
Plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Kramer and his team are credited with the amazing reconstruction. Doctors used hundreds of stitches and metal plates to rebuild Durbin's face. Today is his 42nd birthday and the first time he's seen the gruesome pictures of his face before it was repaired. What'd you think when you look in that mirror?
I was lucky. Lucky and fortunate that it didn't kill me, because it missed my jugular vein by a quarter of an inch. Quarter of an inch, I'd have been dead for sure.
It's kind of what you go into medicine for, to be able to have the skill set to help somebody like Chris so he can go on and get back into his life, love his kids.
We were just absolutely shocked and amazed at how wonderful he looked. I think we both expected to see a horrible, disfiguring injury.
Durbin credits his quick recovery and new smile to the people around him. He's just one of thousands of people who survived thanks to them. Lisa Manzo, News 4 St. Louis.